Hello, everybody. It's Louise Eddington, again, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. And with me today, I'm not even going to be talking about astrology today because I have with me my really good friend, Tiffany Walker. We've been friends since, wow, 2010, maybe
I think so.
2000. We
Yes.
ac- we actually kind of met in a business coaching environment and yeah, well, I'll let people. Tiffany has evolved so much, and so have I since we both met. We've always kept in touch. And why I've invited Tiffany on today is because I've been sharing a lot about the astrology of where I see us going collectively and how I see it's gonna be like better than we could imagine, to be quite honest, once we get out of the chaos. And Tiffany agrees. But Tiffany, you kind of do coaching. You run an empath school, but tell everybody about what you do and your background a bit first.
Well, my husband Jack and we've had a private practice for, I think we're going on 16 years, and we did mindset coaching. But what we learned is most of the people that came in to see us were highly sensitive and highly gifted people. And it was probably like 90% of our clients were highly sensitive and very, very gifted. And what we realized is most of them were either HSP or empaths. And we kind of expanded because our practice got so full that we're like, we wanted to get out to more people. So we decided to go online and do our private practice and our online. And so now we have empath school where empaths come in and we teach them how to manage their energy, how to recognize narcissists and all of the energy vampires, and how to live an empowered life and to create what they want by using mindset. And I am in the role of teaching about spiritual gifts and managing energy while Jack does all the mindset stuff. So we have a pretty wild and active life experience, and it's been very exciting, and it's evolved so much.
Oh,
And little did I realize that all of this would be evolving as our world was moving into a higher frequency and all the dimensions. So it's like it was all perfect timing.
same with me. I mean, I've tried to do it all myself. You've got Jack to help you.
It would not be happening if he was not there, let me tell
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And I will say that Tiffany is probably one of the most psychically gifted people I know. I've also had my friend Andrew Bassano Brewer on my podcast. He's another one. There are some people who are genuinely psychically connected. And it's a bit like the astrology world. I liken it to that there are some people who are really connected and some people who shall we say are less so. And but Tiffany is really dialed in. And now you have something called or some things or whatever you want to call them called the blue, right? Who speak to you. Would
Yes,
you
yes,
you
yes, yes.
describe what the blue is?
Yeah, so since I was born, I have been a psychic medium. And about 9 years ago, I was doing a plant medicine journey and channeled a group of beings called the Blue that told me that they are the overseers of this earth and many other places. And I learned some amazing things during that journey. And little did I know that after I was done with that, they would continue to come through me. And that it's been 9 years. And so it's a group of beings that are the overseers. They are of an intelligence that I really can't describe, but they know absolutely everything that's going on. And it
Mm.
has gotten over the last 9 years, there has been so much amazing information that has come through that I usually spend most of my time talking about the blue in our school, in our
Mm.
practice. And now I'm talking about it out in the public. And it's just the information is so exciting. You know what's awesome, Louise, is every time we talk, astrology is, you're bringing in all of your gifts using astrology and getting the same messages. And I just think it's so amazing because there are many of us on this planet that are bringing this message through because it is time, and I just am so excited about everything happening.
And in a way, I guess the planets and how I work with them are the blue to me as well. They're kind
Sure.
of transmitting their information down through me, or although I think they're in me as well. So, would the blue, do you think they are kind of separate to you or part of you or yeah.
Well, they are definitely, so when they came through, they said very clearly, you are that of the blue. So it's
Hmm.
where I come from. So
Yes.
I know that everybody has different places where they come from. It really surprised me. It took me a lot to accept what I had been told that day, and they never went
Yeah.
away. And now they're with me all the time and move through my body often. Sometimes they speak through me. Oftentimes I share the things that they share with me at 3:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Why?
Yeah. And I love how it's showing up, so I know people who say they channel the Pleiadians, but
Yes.
I think it's all the same thing really to my
Yes.
mind. To be
Yes.
quite honest, to my mind, it's this cosmic consciousness that is just beyond what we could even imagine. So they kind of come to us in a name or words that we can kind of cope with and manage, if you like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you agree? So
Absolutely.
Tiffany, as long as I've known her. Now, let's talk a little bit about your background, right? Because I talk a lot about the time we're coming out of in my astrology, that we're coming out of this patriarchal kind of dominance culture where we feel like we are separate and control nature and control each other and all this kind of thing. Well, Tiffany was your archetypal Mormon mom at one time, weren't you? Mormon wife, Mormon mom.
Yes.
And
Okay.
talk about your upbringing a little bit. And so for people don't know what that means, because not everybody lives in Utah. I have people all
I
over the world.
know. Can you
Yeah.
imagine someone doesn't know what an LDS person or a Mormon person is?
Especially in Utah.
Oh God. So I was born into a very religious family. They don't use the word Mormon anymore. They say the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I will probably always say Mormon because that's all I knew.
Me too.
It was I came from a very big family, and I was always connected to God, source energy, and I have a very strong connection with Jesus, but not the way Christians would think of that.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, so I was born with all of my gifts. So I was a kind of a different child. I was always in trouble because I would not follow the rules because I could see that the rules were ridiculous. And so I followed the laws of the land because I believe in that. But as
Hmm.
for schooling and all of those things, I thought this is irrelevant. This is not going to mean anything to me later. And so I had these conflicts within my religion, but it's all I knew. So I stuck pretty close to it until I met my husband, Jack, that at the time was female. And Jack's name was Susie. And I fell in love with a woman, which was a very brand new experience, never had attraction to women, but I had to challenge absolutely everything I had ever believed or been taught. And that was
Yeah.
the beginning journey in 2007 for me. And that was my exit from religion completely, because what I realized for myself is it was very restrictive, oppressive, patriarchal, misogynistic. I did come from a
Oh,
very patriarchal, misogynistic, racist family.
yeah.
And I love them, and they're still this way, most of them. And I have opted out, and they don't talk to me, of course. Like I think I scared the hell out of them, honestly.
Oh yeah, I hear you because I come from a very patriarchal, not so much religious, but dominating, male-dominated culture myself. But for those that don't know what the Mormon church is like, and it's extra in Utah, it's
Yes.
extra male-dominated by a quorum of 12 men, and
Yes.
women have their role, and
Yes.
oh, it's like women are expected to marry a returned missionary and have lots of children, really, to feed the
Yes.
church, basically. So,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
We had two children, but that was because of medical issues. Otherwise, I would have had more, but then I married Jack and I got four more. So I got my
yeah,
big family, but
yeah.
that's all conditioned in here. But that Mormon mom thing is, now that I look back, I can see how potent the patriarchy is
Oh,
and the
it really
misogyny. Like, I almost don't know what to say about it. It's so hellacious.
it really is hellacious, and it's so ingrained and casual, and it's really strong here.
Yes.
Right to the first time when we moved here to Utah in 2008, my husband had the work visa. I didn't have a work visa yet because that's how visas work. While we were waiting for the green card, I couldn't work. And so we applied for our first mortgage through a company with his bank, through a bank with his company. And because I didn't have a work visa or a job, they didn't even, or they tried not to put my name on the mortgage or the house purchase at first. And of course, I was not having
Oh,
any of
and
that.
I can imagine you going, excuse me.
Excuse me. But Tiffany and it was Susie when I met you both. And
Yeah.
so I've been with Tiffany right through all these transformations. I've seen her had to kind of face like everything, and I think a lot of us have as we're moving out of this patriarchy because it's dying. It
It was
is
done.
it is. It's done. Yeah. And it makes me laugh. Like Tiffany's come out all publicly now on her Facebook page, being quite political and being kind of like feminine rage, like all the things I've been doing for years. And she gives me free rein to lay into some of these
Well, I'm grateful for it because I am, well, you're probably going to have to deal with Louise and she's going to lay it out for you because she's got all the information. She's been doing this for a long time.
But anyway, so let's move on to now, like how the world is changing. And this, oh, I mean, don't you think, really, it's been building, of course, and we've been in this chaos, and things have started to change. But it was on the day, and this is actually not really about politics. This is about the energetics. On the day, the old guard, Biden, stepped down and nominated Kamala Harris 20 minutes later. It's like everything blew open,
Yeah.
open, open, open. So what did the blue have to say about that?
Oh man. So I had such an experience about 3 weeks before Biden did what he did. And the blue, this is what I told my husband. I said, they are so pushy right now that I have to start writing these things. So I would start writing the things that they were telling me about the patriarchy and misogyny and the energy and how women are coming together. I mean, it was just nonstop. I was not getting very much sleep. And I just thought, could you guys give me a break? And they're like, we don't buy into the limits you have of yourself. You are much more
Yes.
powerful than you thought. And so I started writing, but there was an urgency to
Hmm.
write the things that I wrote. And then I was in Idaho the Sunday before Biden stepped down, or no, it was a couple days before Biden stepped down. And they woke me up and I was on a little vacation and they're like, you have to write this now. And I'm like, I'm too tired. I need to just sleep. They're like, no, this has to go out today. Because what
Hmm.
happened the day after that is when Biden stepped down. And the blue came through and they were like so I've been channeling the blue, but the last 6 months I've had goddesses coming in and also channeling them. And one of the
Ah,
main messages coming through is that women are now banding together and the energetics, we've had such an evolution and the consciousness of the earth has risen enough that the goddesses could come in and they literally removed the shroud of misogyny off of the planet, like right before Biden stepped down. And I was
you know,
like,
I've got these chills because I use certain symbols. There's words for each degree of the zodiac, and I use those a lot in my writing. And one of the symbols just recently was the veil is blown away by the wind.
yes,
And so I just got the chills about that
yes,
symbol.
that's amazing. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I was like, is this happening? And I had a friend reach out to me and she said, I'm really scared. After the debate, it is bad. And I said, trust me,
Mm.
something's going to happen and it's going to change everything because the blue has told me not to worry. And I didn't know what it was going to be. And then 2 days later, all of it just exploded. And I was like, oh my God.
I know. And I keep trying to tell people because I still get a little bit, and I don't care, they can attack me or they can put thumbs down on my videos. I don't care, whatever. But I keep trying to tell people it's not really just about Kamala. She's just kind
Oh,
of
no.
a figurehead of it. She chose a great running mate as well, who is kind of more the divine feminine of the he's kind of going away from that alpha dominator hyper masculine energy of the patriarchy. He's
Yes.
somebody who just cares for his kids, cries about his kids, his
Yeah.
son, you know. And of course, we know how that's gone down as well.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is as well, it is women coming together, but it's also, male allies, male beings in male bodies who have
Yes.
really suffered under the patriarchy as much as not perhaps as much as women, I wouldn't say, but in a different way.
Yes.
And and I also saw a comment because you know me, I read everything and take everything in. Somebody saying this is a very Western view. What about the women in Afghanistan? What about the women in these cultures where, women are still stoned maybe for, and it's not about the religion, that's cultural, I think, to be honest, because Islam itself, if you actually study the religion, is as is just got the bones of peace in it as any religion has. It's how it's been interpreted.
Yes.
So, what does the blue say anything about the global picture rather than
Yes,
just the
they
Western?
have. They said that the women from all over the world are now beginning to experience something called divine feminine rage. And this is
Mhm.
not the same thing as vindication or being
Yep.
hateful and wanting to go after the patriarchy or misogyny. This is about them realizing, oh, I am not meant to be oppressed. And they were very clear and told me if the world's women are controlled, they have control of everything. The
Yeah.
second that women are no longer controlled, which is happening right now, there is no more controlling anything. Women in nature are quite synonymous. So you notice that
Mhm.
men love to try and control nature and love to try and control women. It's because it's the most powerful force on earth. And it
Yeah.
is true what you said about the divine masculine or that aligned masculine is now getting this bump up, and we're starting to see them. And I even saw a woman on TikTok yesterday that had all these women from different countries saying, we're here to support you. And it was probably 20 different countries. And I'm
I
seeing it
think
across the board.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And to go with the critics who say, oh, it's just, you're ignoring those kind of people and all that. I would say no. I would go to the Dalai Lama's words about the Western women will save the world because
Yes.
we have more power than a woman
Yes.
in Afghanistan at the moment, even though they're trying to take it away from us. And so we have to kind of lead and lift up
Yeah.
the others with us. So and show the way. And I know what you mean about the divine feminine rage. It's kind of that rage that's just saying no.
Yes, I'm done. I have no more tolerance for this garbage.
Yeah, we're not going back, to quote Kamala Harris. She,
100%.
to my mind, she is actually kind of channeling this energy almost.
Oh,
I
no.
don't,
Well, I have to
yeah.
say the blue can't when Biden won the election 4 years ago. The blue told me that he would win this and
Mhm.
that he was preparing Kamala to be president. I thought
Yeah.
it would be in 8 years. I had no idea that we were walking into this, that we'd be walking into this so quickly. And this is a calling for her. She is, what you said is absolutely true. And the Western women, We have
Mhm.
more energy to push forward. And the day that she is sworn in will change the entire world. The energetics will just explode.
You know, it has. And even those words, like I said, we're not going back, and the other slogans that she's doing. I remember the first time she said, because I watch all the politics, I watch all the debates, everything. The day she said we're not going back, you could almost see this look on her face as if to say, I can't believe that came out of my mouth. But
Right.
that's it.
Well, have you noticed during all of these rallies, there are almost like slogans that just come out of their mouths, and it's like, oh, that's a great idea. And then it carries the energy and momentum of the party. And it's not really just about the party anymore. It
No,
is
it's not.
about the wholeness of this consciousness, this 5D experience. We are all
Yeah.
coming together in unity. And I am amazed as I'm watching, different people with different ideas and different religions and parties like coming together because they're like, yeah, this isn't good. I'm going to do something different.
And there's even some who don't quite understand why they're doing it. They
Oh,
go, I
sure.
don't agree with Kamala on much at all, but I'm going to vote for her. And I think they just feel this is different, and it is not about parties. It's not about
Oh,
boundaries. It's not, but people are still trying to make sense of it. They're rational. Whereas, to people like Tiffany and I that have been following the energy for some time are kind of like, no, we've just got to be open to it and ride the wave and flow with it. And
there,
that's why I use my podcast to try and get this out to
I am
people.
so glad. I think that people have a platform, um,
Mm.
and if they operate from a place of love, compassion, unity, joy, there's a pretty big responsibility to step up, and that's why I did, because I've always kept religion and politics out of everything that I do because of the chaos that surrounds it. And the blue is like, it's time for you to step into a different place in this political climate. And I'm like, are you kidding? Because I even told you, Louise, I said, I have such stress with politics. And you shared
Yeah,
with me, said, I have the ability to do this. And
yeah.
then within a short period of time, the blue did something because now I am just absorbing all this information and it's making sense with everything that they're talking about from an energetic standpoint.
Yeah.
And to me, I am so grateful to be alive. This is the biggest shift in history.
It is. It really is. And I have an astrologer friend, and our video that we did together, he's in England actually, where they've had a political shift as well, surprisingly.
Wow.
He sees it too. And he said he described it like we're going human consciousness usually goes up slightly this way, and now it's going whoop. And it
It's totally true.
And it feels like we're actually kind of mutating, not
Yeah,
like
I
not
agree with that.
not mutants, don't get
Yeah.
that
Yes.
fear in your mind. Our consciousness is expanding
Fast.
hugely.
Yes.
Our brain, not our physical brains, just our ability to like absorb and know more stuff and feel this interconnectedness of everything in the quantum realms, whatever you want to call them, or
Ah,
5D. Some people say 5D. I call it the quantum realms where we're wave and particle. We're realizing we're actually finally, like science has seen it a bit, and some astrology's seen it a bit, and some of this has seen it a bit. Now we're all going, wow, we are
yes,
all,
the awareness of what's
yeah,
happening. And even before you can make sense of it with your brain, you can
yeah,
feel it in your energy field. You're just like,
yep,
I feel this sense of peace and hope and
yeah,
wild energy, and it feels good and it's scary at the same time. And we all are evolving so quickly. It's not super comfortable a lot of the time. It's like, what the hell is happening?
it's quite overwhelming,
It is.
And I think for people like Tiff and I that are trying to explain it to people or express it to people, or we're trying to like pull all these pieces in that, is just like coming in at like this rate of whatever, from that core of consciousness, if you like,
Yes.
who I don't think are separate beings, even if the blue, I think they call them themselves the overseers to you, because that makes sense. It's like, I think they're as much a part of it, but it's this big consciousness. Now, I don't think now I'm going to get technical because people will kind of go, "Oh, you're losing your mind." I don't think these this consciousness of the cosmos is anything like any god of any religion. It's not a judgment. It doesn't give you rules and laws. It gives human beings free will.
Yes.
But I do think there is somewhat of a plan. And I do think, energetically, they planned it that we would kind of learn from all of human history for this moment, for this big shift.
I would agree 100% with you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
So,
Some talk to people about this. They're like, I'm feeling kind of good, but I don't know if I can wrap my head around this. But when you've been a person that has been observing and watching and you have those gifts to see for long periods of time, sometimes you just have to get out and start talking about it. And then you realize there's a lot of people that have been seeing this shift coming. And
I know.
I always talk about it as in 5D, 3D, 4D, and 5D, because it
Yeah.
makes sense to our people. And
Mhm.
I just am amazed. And it's going so fast now, Louise.
Oh,
I feel like I need hairspray because it's like I'm moving so fast. But oh
I
my,
know you do. And I keep hearing t Tim Wolf's voice in my head, the VP candidate. We'll sleep when we're dead. I'm like going,
no,
no, he sleep. I'm like,
that's awesome.
and it brings me like, when you say people say I can't get my head around this,
Yeah.
I don't I don't think you're meant to just get your head around it because we're not there yet. Our rational part of our brain has not kind of caught up with the
Nope.
feeling.
Takes a minute.
Yeah, it does. So even though Tiff and I are trying to explain what's going on, I think we're just trying to give you hope and trying to say, it's really happening. This is like, and just kind of open yourself to possibilities,
Yeah.
to imagining, to I also think we're moving into a place, and I'd love to know if the Blues have said anything about that, because I've done quite a lot of work with manifestation, and I believe in it, but it's way deeper than The Secret.
Yes, it is.
But I do believe that we are moving into a time that if we open ourselves up to this energy and change our mindset and change our sense of possibility and what's possible, we are actually a part of changing this and creating what could be a really amazing world, honestly.
Yes. So
Does-
that the whole thing is about us remembering
yeah,
we are that God spark or source or whatever. That is us. And so
yeah,
as our consciousness is coming into more awareness, we're like, oh, I have the ability to change the way things are moving because I am that.
yes,
It is.
yeah,
And fear is the enemy right now. It is the biggest enemy. The Blues said, turn away from fear. The second you feel it or see it, turn away from it. Do something that gets you out of it so that you can keep your frequency and vibrations moving in a place that is not so heavy. It's lighter. And you'll be able to create and manifest like nobody's business so
yeah,
fast, so wild, because we're
yeah.
the creators.
And it's not, when we talk manifestation, we're not just talking about I want $1 million. We're
Yeah,
talking about, manifesting everything. That's why I think you have to be mindful of what you're putting out in the world,
absolutely.
and if you're putting fear out, and if you're putting scare tactics out, which some astrologers do, they go, oh, this aspect is coming up in 2 weeks' time. That looks really whoa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, why would you say that?
Yeah, it's not
We're in a
helpful at
different
all.
time. No, no,
I'm
no,
glad you
not
don't
at all.
do that. I really am.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't say, oh, it could be a little bit challenging,
Sure.
but here's how you can deal with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Louise, I
So
wanted to ask you a question. Can I ask you a
mm,
question?
of
Um,
course.
do you feel like from you a person is working with the ethers, the stars, and all of that information, do you feel like um the cosmos has been more wild than ever the last
Oh,
one?
oh God, my God, yes.
I mean, I would say yes, but I don't delve into things like you do when it comes to the cosmos. But I'm like, I don't know if I've ever felt such wild cosmic energy coming into to support the changes that are happening. It feels like it's all working together.
Well, it is because it's the same thing, really. So I actually just want to share my astrology chart, and actually just let me make sure I've not got a person's chart up on it, and I'm sharing that by accident because I did have a couple of clients this morning, and I'm not going to go into the details, but I am going to share, and uh, am I sharing just my chart or no? I'm going to share it again and get the right window up there. Okay.
Awesome.
So this is this kind of 3D representation of the cosmos, if you like. We are in the middle. Okay. If it's a person's chart, this is the person in the chart. They contain all of this, all the planets, all the signs. But not only that, what I haven't got on here is all the expanding discoveries of the astronomers are discovering new things every day. It just keeps we know more and more about what's out there, but we don't know how it works.
Right.
But so this is us. If this is a person, this is them, this is all the planets and how they operate with them, but this also applies globally. The Earth is here and the planets are affecting that, and each person is connected to all the other things, the planet and the planets and all the things. Does that help explain it a bit?
Absolutely.
So this is kind of like, have you heard of systems theory, Tiff?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's kind of, all these scientists and social scientists as well. There's a thing called theory that says, we each and like our community and then corporations and then countries and governments are all systems, but we're all kind of connected and bouncing off each other. And that would include nature as well and everything like that.
That makes
So
total sense to me.
we are a system, but we're a system within systems and within systems, and it's completely wild right now. Astrologically, the things that are happening now, and I'm not going to go into all of them because I've done it many times, but have never been seen in history before,
Well, that's why I was asking. I was like, it's got to be that.
let alone since we knew that these faraway planets existed.
Right.
We didn't even know anything existed beyond Saturn until 1781. And now there's like thousands of extra things that have been discovered, thousands. And so it's almost like I said, it's so big. And they're all kind of acting together right now over the next couple of years, really, to bring in this big shift.
It's like buckle up, babes, because it's going to be a wild ride, but it's exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting.
It
And
is.
when people go into fear, I try and invite them to kind of feel like that bubble of fear is like butterflies of transformation, kind of
That's
going,
a great way to do it.
oh, just go for a walk, get the wriggles out and just go, yeah, this is going to be magic because honestly,
Yeah, and because the unfamiliar always scares us. I mean, our human
yeah,
experience, like, oh, if I don't know what this is, I feel afraid.
Yes.
If we can just let go of that resistance and just say, I'm willing to experience something new, then
Yes.
life is so much more simple because
Yeah.
nothing in 1 year from now, nothing will be the same.
No.
Uh, and it's
I
exciting because it's going to be better than anyone ever even imagined. And it will
Yes.
continue to go that direction.
Yeah. I liken it to the fear of AI coming out. I mean, that just I mean, we've had a bit of AI for quite a long time, but then suddenly it just like, and
Yes.
then people were going, oh, it's doing this and plagiarism and blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but already those that are ready to mutate and adapt are figuring out how to use AI
Yes.
well. And
Yeah.
that's all we're being asked to do. Just open your mind and
Yeah.
don't go, no, I'm not touching that. And figure out how to use it well because it's part of what we're meant to do. I actually think we're going to find an unlimited source of clean energy as well at
I
some
agree.
point. Yeah, and kind of like we'll all have free energy and you know all those kind of things. And it's science and technology is going to be unimaginable. We've already got, I've got a computer on my wrist,
I
but
know.
and it might be microchips, but if it is, don't necessarily reject that either, because some of these microchips are helping people to see, to
Yes.
hear, to walk. You
Yeah.
know?
You know, what's really fascinating to me is the whole battle right now in our political climate here in the US is about
Yeah.
trying to keep things where they've been. It's
Yes,
not impossible. We have surpassed that so far. It's not even possible for that energy to
I
exist. It
know.
can't work here anymore. It's like a dead battery.
It is a dead battery and it's
It's like
just not going to happen.
so
But
don't
then
hurt
on
yourself by resisting all of this. Just let go and watch what happens. It's going to be so great.
and on the flip side of that, those that are not trying to take it back, don't keep posting pictures of the Handmaid's Tale and things, because we're not going to that either. But if you keep posting that, guess what you're bringing in?
Yes.
You know, I
Yeah.
can't watch that. I can't. It used to be one of my favorite books,
Same.
but I don't know about you, Tiff. I can't watch dystopian
I can't
disaster
do that.
things. Not
Nothing.
because I'm scared, not because I'm scared. I just think, no, we're not bringing that in. Yeah.
Well, and it really feels yucky when you watch it now because
Yeah.
you feel the shift and it's like this is so far from the truth. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel good in our bodies.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's not that I fear it happening. I'm just like, yeah,
I don't want to talk. I think about it. It's gross.
yeah. And climate change, that's another one. I actually think at least we're going to manage it and adapt to what's happening with climate change.
Yes.
I don't care what you think caused climate change. Clean energy will help it not
Yep.
get worse. That's for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know, with climate change, this is what's so wonderful is when it looks like something is a really bad thing, that's
Mhm.
when people's minds go to work and they become open to see something new. And when
Yes.
that happens, that's when universal energy comes in and says, I have an idea for you. What about
Yeah.
this? And that's
Yeah.
why AI is where it is. I mean, Jack and I use AI in our business, and it is one of the greatest gifts we have ever experienced because it helps us with marketing and all the things that we want to do. And if you can just allow the new to come in, there is a
Yeah.
solution to every problem.
I use it in my business. This is being transcribed.
I love
Yay.
that.
AI.
Yes.
And I use it to create course outlines.
Yes.
And I don't use it to do my writing because I don't think the AI can write for a person.
Right.
But for things, that you might have sweated over for ages, finding like, I want to do a course on this. What outline should I use? AI snaps it out, and
I'm
then you can adjust it as you wish.
sorry.
You
So
know.
awesome. I love it.
I know. Oh, well, I'm so glad I had you on, and I hope people, where can they find you? Obviously, you're on Facebook. Can people follow you on Facebook? Because
Yeah,
I don't know if you,
they can. It's Tiffany
yeah, oh,
Walker on Facebook. I'm also on
yeah,
TikTok, which is Tiff Talks.
she
And
is.
our website is empathschool.com. And our podcast is Empath School with Tiff and Jack. So we have a whole bunch of free stuff and a whole bunch of places that you can find us.
How
And
did I know that you had a podcast?
what's that?
How didn't I know that you had a
Oh
podcast?
gosh, we've been doing it since 2017. So we have like 200 episodes on there.
You know what it's like, though.
On
You don't
our
see you just don't see everything that everybody does. So, that's all. But yeah, yes, I've just tiptoed into TikTok a bit. I didn't do TikTok before because it fried my ADHD brain. And you're gonna laugh at this, Tiff. Tiff the other day, Tiff has ADHD too. And she told me about an app that has really helped her ADHD at home. And I went straight away and downloaded it and then completely forgot about
Right. Listen, if I didn't have Jack to help me set it up, and like I really got in the rhythm of looking every day, and then Jack's like, "Did you get your list done?" And I'm like, "Oh, I forgot I had that."
So what was it called again?
It's called Me Plus, and
Oh
it
yeah.
really is wonderful. It really has helped me a lot. I have a learning disorder and dyslexia and ADHD, and so I need all the assistance I can find.
And it's got a cute little purple heart.
Yes, it's a
Oh,
wonderful app. It's saved my bacon.
so you see, I'm opening it now because when I'm waiting for this video to process, before I upload it, I am going to actually set it up because I got distracted. But
I have
that's
to share something
oh
funny. When I first
yeah,
downloaded it, I laid in my bed and I looked at all the things I had to add, and it made me cry. I was so overwhelmed. Jack came
yeah.
in, honey, let me help you. I'm like, I feel so dumb, but I just can't. I don't think I could do it. So he loaded everything up for me, and now I just go in and I just click off all the things that I get done. And man, what I can get done in a day, Louise, is a freaking miracle.
Well, me too, though, since I started actually, I take Adderall for it. And
Does it
I,
help?
I went and got the meds because so much was coming in, and I thought I have to be able to kind of do all the work.
Yes.
But then I still get distracted no matter what I try. So I'm going to add this into, and I'm going to let it give me notifications.
Yes. It works. It worked great.
And that is one question I actually have for you and for the blue, because I see it in astrology that it kind of is the rise of the neurodivergence as well, which is why people are getting diagnosed late and things, and people are realizing they've been neurodivergent all along. In fact, I don't know if there is such a thing as neurotypical really anymore.
No. And I don't really think it's a disorder. I think it's a
Oh,
new being. So we
I
can
don't think
call
it
it
is either.
whatever, but
We
it's
just we
probably,
just think it does pretty much. That's why I like neurospicy.
yeah. Oh, can I adopt that too?
Oh, please do. I don't think I thought of it,
Neurospicy.
Because to go back to the work I've done with manifestation a lot, there's a great book called Mind Magic by a guy called Doty. I can't remember his first name, but it's Doty, and called Mind Magic. And he is actually a neuroscientist. And he talks about the brain way of manifestation as well, and how you
Awesome.
can actually really kind of rechannel your brain neurons and
Yes,
things to, and that's what we're doing. And I think neurodivergent people, because my neuro spiciness def has definitely increased with this energy. Don't know about yours.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I had it when I was a kid because the doctor did all the tests and said, "Did you do this when you were a kid?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And he's like, "Oh, you're definitely ADHD." And I was like,
Yeah, I was
"Yeah."
diagnosed too.
But it's way worse now, or way better now, which or different, way
Yes,
different. We'll say different.
yes.
Yeah. Well, Tiff, oh, I do love you.
I love you so much.
And thank you for coming on. And, maybe I'll come on with you and Tiff,
I know.
you and Jack.
I think Jack's going to reach out to you and see if you
Oh,
would like to
cool.
come and do our podcast. So yes.
Yeah, because like we said, anybody with any platform, to compare to some people, I've got a big platform, but there's way bigger
Right.
platform. And I'm putting together a thing in November. I've got some astrologers. I'm reaching out to a couple of other people. So there's more people, but I'm trying to do more of these interviews, as many as I have time for, so that it spreads, that people realize that this is enormous and don't fear it. It's ride the wave. Open your
Ride
mind.
the wave.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And go and find my friend Tiff on TikToks or wherever. Or no, what was it?
All the
Tiff
places.
Talk. Tiff Talk. Yeah.
Thank
All the places. I'll put them in the description as well. Bye, everybody.
you so much for having me, Louise. It was so good to see your face.
Yours too.